Excellent. Welcome to today's meeting. I am Toastmaster Ese, and I'm delighted to welcome you to Pecten's Club April 2023 meeting themed Cultural Heritage. We'll start off immediately by reading of a quote by Stephen Covey that says, "Strength lies in differences, not in similarities." I would now want to read the Toastmasters promise. Please, you do not need to read along. You can just mute your mic and read in your mind. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters educational and recognition programs, to act within the core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities. I would now read the Pecten mission statement. Our mission is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. So help us God. Thank you, and I would immediately like to welcome on the lectern the president of Pecten Toastmasters Club, President Tari Adebisi. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ese, able Vice President Education. Good evening, everybody. I'm scrolling so I can see everyone's face. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all on the call. Familiar faces, unfamiliar faces and names. Glad that you all could join us this evening. This is our second meeting for the month of April, and our theme for today's meeting is cultural heritage. I was wondering why we chose the theme cultural heritage, and I asked Vice President Education, and she told me that today, the 18th of April, is International Day for Monuments and Sites, which is also known as World Heritage Day. And so in recognition of that day, we decided to theme today's meeting cultural heritage. It would be great to know what tribes everyone on the call is from. So if you can help me put on the chat box, what tribe or what part of the country, let me put it that way, what part of Nigeria are you from, or what culture do you associate with? Which is your culture, which is your tribe, what part of Nigeria are you from? It would be great to see that in the chat box, and it would be great to know the array of individuals that we have in today's meeting. Niger Delta, Ijo, Niger Delta, great. Niger Delta is there. Only one person, good. Southeast Igbo, great. I am Yoruba, great. Kalabari, Ijo tribe, great. Different tribes, different cultures represented here. And in fact, we are one Nigeria, as people always say. Igbo, did I just say Fulani? Great Okereka dynasty, great. All manner. So great. We represent different people here. And culture is really very important. I mean, everywhere you go in the world, people have the different beliefs that they have, the same way that they have the different cultures that they practice. if I know one thing that culture does is that culture identifies us. If you're far away in Australia, for instance, and you see somebody wearing an African print, you don't need two heads to be put together to tell you that this person is African, maybe even Nigerian. Another thing culture does is that it unifies us. I mean, if you are in far away, wherever, Canada, and your next door neighbor happens to hear your next door neighbor speaking Igbo, right? You are sort of connected to that person because, wow, the same language, you're my brother or you're my sister, or that's another thing culture does for us. Another thing culture does for us is that it helps guide us. I'm sure most of us have heard it saying, oh, it's not in our culture to do this. It's not in our culture to do that. Culture unifies us, it identifies us, and also guides us into the things, or guides us, in our way of life. So culture is pretty important. I'm sure there are many other things, advantages of culture. And if you remember any, you can, feel free, put it in the chat box. What does culture mean to you? What does culture do for you? How important is culture to you? What kind of culture are you passing on to your children or to the people around you? In any way you think about it, culture is really important, an important topic. And so today we're going to be talking about culture. I would like to enjoin everyone to relax. There's no tension, this is a no tension zone, right? Feel free to do what you need to do. If you're called upon during table topics to speak, please speak freely. No judgment zone. We only evaluate, we don't judge. We don't pass judgment, we just evaluate. And that evaluation is to equip you, to help you better when you're giving your next speech. Another thing I'd like to see us do more today is make use of the chat room, the chat box. Feel free to pass on love notes to people who have given speeches, encourage those who have never spoken before and are being called upon to do so. Say if there's something nice to them, encourage them to speak out. Our voices should never be hidden. If there's anything you should do, is to speak, learn to speak, and learn to speak right. So without much further ado, I'm going to hand over today's meeting to the Toastmaster of the day. She needs no introduction. She is our treasurer here in Pecten Toastmasters Club, and she has a lot of experience in doing this. And I know that she would smile and say, what is Tari talking about? But I believe she can deliver. I already know she has already delivered. So over to you, Toastmaster Kaine, our Toastmaster of the day, as we take it away and as the meeting begins. Enjoy the meeting, everyone. Toastmaster Kaine, you're muted.
I'm sorry about that. Thank you, able President Toastmaster Tari Adebisi. I like to call her D-Tari, which is her full name. Thank you very much. And I want to welcome everyone to our meeting for today. So good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to our meeting, which is the second in the month of April. And as been said by our president, today is the International Day for Monuments and Sites, and our theme is our cultural heritage. Just to say that the aim of International Day for Monuments and Sites is to encourage local communities and individuals throughout the world to consider the importance of cultural heritage in their lives and identities and communities, and to promote awareness of diversity and vulnerability in an effort to protect and conserve our culture. So TM Tari has talked a bit about our culture, but I'd just like to leave these reflections with us. What does culture mean to you? Which part of your culture are you in love with? And which aspect of your culture are you going to do away with? So with that introduction, I would like to introduce our general evaluator for today. He is no other person than TM Oluwatosi Olorunleke. He's a procurement engineer and he's the president of the Oil City Speakers Club, and he is on the strategic relationships pathway. He loves playing football, and his favorite quotes is whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. So join me as I welcome TM Tosin Olorunleke, our general evaluator for today, who is going to introduce the first set of role players. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the day, and good evening, everyone on the call, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today, I'll be the general evaluator, and as general evaluator, I will be spearheading the evaluation segment alongside the other evaluators and role players. We'll be looking out for everything that goes on during the course of the meeting, and at the end, we'll be giving feedback as to where we have excelled and where we could actually improve. Before I leave, I will also be introducing the other role players, and the first on the list is our grammarian, distinguished Toastmaster Rasheedat Saliu Bello, the famous DTM RSB.
Wow. Toastmaster Tosin, or rather President Tosin. How could you have said the famous? Wow. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters, very dear and cherished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends on the call. I'm Rasheedat Saliu Bello. I've been given the task to serve as your grammar sentinel this afternoon. So you may want to ask me how I'm going to do that. I have two principal responsibilities for today. Pardon me, please. I have two responsibilities for today. And the first, and perhaps quite importantly, I'm going to listen for and highlight the use of very good expressions by way of perhaps metaphor and your diction, your vocabulary. Generally, elocution, diction, I'll be so interested in that. I'll point it out when I believe it is really good and outstanding. I'll also have the opportunity to point it out when I believe it could be improved upon. Then I have that third responsibility, and that third responsibility is to introduce us to a word of the day, which I would like us to try and use for today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an archaic word anyway, but even at that, somebody is already raising up our hand. Toastmaster GBK, is there anything you'd want me to address immediately before I move to the word of the day?
It was a mistake, sorry.
Okay, thank you. So the word of the day, which I would like you all to use anytime you are on this virtual lectern, is germane. Germane. Perhaps we want to pronounce it at once. If we all unmute, then we can pronounce germane.
Germane.
Germaine.
Germane.
Germaine.
Fantastic.
Germane.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Well, I'll be happy to, if you want to use the derived forms, we have the adverb, we have the noun. So something could be so germanely, or you can look at the germaneness of something. And what is the important, or what is the meaning of this beautiful word? Relevant or important to something or a subject under consideration. For example, our speech today is germane to the meeting thing. Another example, our idea is germane to the conversation we are having now. A deep voice, that's another example. A deep voice might not necessarily be germane to that type of presentation. So synonyms of the word germane: suitable, appropriate, fitting, applicable, apt. Ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to use the word germane and use it correctly. We know that culture, for instance, is germane to amity. And that was said really, or paraphrasing Madam President Tari Adebisi. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator. The famous Toastmaster, Tosin Olorunlekwe, 1-1.
Thank you very much, Madam Grammarian. It's always a pleasure to have you play a role at any meeting. Next, we'll be introducing the accounter, and the accounter for today's meeting will be Toastmaster Eseoghene. Toastmaster Eseoghene.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. General Evaluator. Good afternoon, dear Toastmasters and guests. My role as the accounter today is to count and record the number of unnecessary sounds or words you may use while speaking on the virtual stage. I will be observing and taking notes of words such as you know, yeah. These are filler words that affect the effectiveness of a speech. I will be back to present my reports when called upon. It's back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Kaine. We will be looking forward to your report. And finally, we have our timer, who also happens to be the Vice President membership of beautiful Pecten Toastmasters Club, Toastmaster Eseoghene James. Toastmaster Eseoghene.
Thank you so much, the GE. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Today I will be performing the role of the timer. My job is to make sure that every aspect of the meeting keeps to the appropriated time that it should, beginning from the table topics to the manual speeches and the evaluations. As Toastmasters, it's our tradition that we keep to time. So we'll make sure that everything goes according to plan, and in the end, we leave here when we're supposed to leave. I'll just give a rundown of the timing of each of the segments. The table topic segment, each speaker is expected to speak for 1 to 2 minutes. At the 2-minute mark, at the 1 minute mark, I will put up the green card. At the 2-minute mark, 1 minute 30 seconds mark, sorry, I'll put up the yellow card, and at the 2-minute mark, I'll put up the green card. At that point, the red card rather. At that point, the speaker has 30 seconds to round off and get off the virtual lectern in order to remain qualified. The manual speech segments, today we have 2 manual speeches. One of them, which will be given by Toastmaster Olem, is going to run for 3 to 4 minutes. At the 4-minute mark, I will put up the green card. At the 3-minute mark, I'll put up the... Please confirm that you can still hear me.
Yes, I can.
Great. At the 3-minute mark, oh boy, not today. I'll put up the yellow card, and then at the 4-minute mark, I will put up the red card. She has 30 seconds to get on the virtual lectern. The second manual speaker would be Toastmaster Eseoghene Okereka. Her speech is for 5 to 7 minutes. At the 5-minute mark, I will put up the green card. At the 6-minute mark, I'll put up the yellow card. And at the 7-minute mark, I'll put up the green card. She has 30 seconds to get off the virtual lectern. For the evaluations, the table topics evaluation is going to run for 3 to 5 minutes. The speech evaluations will run for 2 to 3 minutes. The grammarian reports, that's the tag team reports, that's grammarian, accountant, timer reports will last for 1 to 2 minutes, and the general evaluators report should last for 3 to 5 minutes. I will be displaying these cards on the screen. Please do well to pin my chat or my face on your screen so that when you're speaking, you're aware of the time that is allocated and the time that is remaining. At the end of the day, I would come back to give my timer's report. Thank you, and it's back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Madam Timer. And that brings us to the end of the introduction of the various roles for today. So I'd just like to urge each and every single one of us to stick around till the very end to make sure that we receive the gifts of evaluations we have been promised. Thank you very much, and back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so very much, our General Evaluator, Toastmaster Tosin Olorunleke. At this point, we will be going on to the table topics session for today. And I have the honor and privilege to introduce to us our table topics master. She is Kafaya Ajibike Oshodi, and she is a legal practitioner. She is the Sergeant at Arms at the OES Toastmasters Club and also a member of the Pecten Toastmasters. Her hobbies include reading, traveling, self-development, and cooking exercises. And her favorite quotes, "He who hesitates is lost. Things fall apart and the center cannot hold." I'm sure we know where that is from. So, distinguished Toastmasters, will have our table topics master for today, TM GBK. And I'm sure that the table topics would actually be germane to our topic, which is cultural heritage. I'm sure some of our table topics would be germane to our theme. So over to you, Toastmaster GBK, as you anchor the session for the table topics.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I hope you can see me. Yes.
Yes, we
So
can.
Yes, you can. Good evening. We're all happy to be here today, this Tuesday in August. So I have some topics, 1 to 7. Do I have any volunteers? Let me see if there are any guests on this call. Any guests on the call? Any volunteers for the table topics? Okay, yeah. Any volunteers for the table topics? Let me look at the participants. Any guests on this call, first of all? Chioma Ukeji, can you volunteer? Any volunteers for the table topics? Chioma?
Toastmaster Tari's hand.
No volunteers. Yeah. Toastmaster Tari, thank you for volunteering. What number do you want? 1 to 7, and they're all germane to our culture and our identity.
I'll choose number
What
5.
question?
Number 5, please.
Toastmaster. Okay. Okay. What are the cultural values of a Nigerian? An ideal Nigerian, like the Chinese, they have their own culture. So what are the culture, the values of a Nigerian, the cultural heritage of a Nigerian? How do you know a Nigerian?
Okay. Good
How would you
evening,
know a
Toastmasters and
Nigerian
guests.
if you met him abroad? And what do you think?
Okay. Can I go ahead now, Toastmaster Ajibike?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
There seems to be a lag, but I'll go ahead. I'll go right ahead. Good evening again, dear Toastmasters and guests. What will be, how do you know in Nigeria? What is our cultural heritage as Nigerians? That's the question I'm supposed to answer. Nigeria is a peculiar country. Most of us on this call are Nigerians, and we all know sort of our cultural heritage or what cultural heritage we identify with. First of all, Nigeria is such a large country filled with different cultures, many languages. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to actually know, should we actually be one country or should we be several countries? But speaking about cultural heritage, we know where we fall into, individual, I mean. I know where I come from. I am Ijaw from the Niger Delta. My tribe is Ijaw from the Niger Delta part of Nigeria, which is the south part of Nigeria. And in my culture, we hold certain things very dear. One of such would be our dressing. If you talk about culture, you'll agree with me that dressing is a major part of it. If you see the Chinese man, we'll know he's Chinese by the way he dresses. If you're talking about the Japanese man, we'll know he's Japanese by the way he dresses. So Nigerians, rather, the Ijaw people, we know them by the way they dress. One thing that they have in common, even though they are of different languages, is the traditional choral beads. When you see someone with heavy choral beads, for instance, and dressed in certain types of wrapper and certain types of blouses, you ordinarily, I mean, automatically, you would know that this person was from the Niger Delta. Another thing I think we hold here from the part of country where I come from is our food. Because we are riverine, we eat a lot of seafood. We eat a lot of fish, a lot of shrimps. And that's another thing that pertains to the culture of our people. And it's another thing I like about our people. And it depends totally on where you come from, Nigeria. I started by saying that we have a variety of languages, variety of tribes. So I have only spoken about where I come from. What about you? Where you come from? What do you hold here? What can you use in identifying yourself as a Nigerian where you come from? Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much for that. Letting us know that our dressing and our food is part of our culture. Thank you so much. Any more volunteers for this table topics, which will have questions all bordering on culture and identity and heritage? Any more volunteers? Any more volunteers? Toastmaster Tosin, are you going to volunteer?
I am. I thought I was exempt because I was playing the GE role, but I am.
Okay. So which question? Question 5 has gone, and I have 1 to 5 questions. So what number?
I'll have question 1.
What number? Okay. Describe how germane your culture is to you, telling us the part of Nigeria you come from, why it's germane to you, and why it's part of your identity, part of your heritage.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Table Topics Master.
Did you get that,
Toastmaster
Tosin?
Yes, I did. I'm expected to explain how my culture is germane to me and telling the house where I am from. So I am from Ogbomoso, Oyo State. That's the western part of Nigeria. And anyone who knows the Yorubas, I'm Yoruba, anyone who knows the Yorubas would agree with me that respect is something we say we do too much. In fact, there's a running joke that the Yorubas have a greeting for everything. Whether you're sitting down, they greet you, Eku Joko, which means enjoy sitting down or well done sitting down. There's basically a greeting for everything. And as funny as the joke sounds, or as unrealistic as it sounds, I find that most of my friends consider me to be that person who greets everyone, every time, everywhere. So I could be on the phone with someone and I just say hello or good evening to someone I'm walking past, and my friend on the phone goes, you started again. Or the next thing we know now, you start greeting 10 to 15 people before the phone call is over. So somehow I find that the respect which is embedded in my culture, which is the Yoruba culture, has seeped into my lifestyle, so much so that I consider it to be one of my strongest values. I know respect is not all about greeting, but personally as a person, that's tautology. But personally, I realize that I hold respect to the highest level. I expect respect from everyone, and I also try my best to respect everyone until they prove otherwise, obviously. That being said, respect is that value which I like to attribute to my culture. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So we have 3 more slots left. Who else is going to tell us about culture and about their heritage? Moyede, I don't know, are you available? Henry Ojel. There's somebody, SAO. Anybody who is interested in telling us about their culture? None of the questions are too deep like that, so please participate so we can know a little more about you and a little more about the culture.
Henry is here. Henry is here. Yeah.
Yeah. So what number do you want? 2, 3, or 4?
Number 7.
Okay. Okay. We know that heritage and proverbs go hand in hand. Please explain to us 2 of your native proverbs in your language. Say it first, say it in English, and explain to us why it's important. It's an important part of your culture. So it's on proverbs.
Proverb, culture.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, 2 proverbs of your area.
Okay, thanks for that. We talk about cultural diversity, cultural integration, cultural heritage. Is culture really integrating us, or is making us to be disintegrated? In my place, it said that onye dendu ke, onye wuni kendi dendu ekezie. If you are dead and you've divided something before you die, those that are alive can change that decision. So any decision you took before you die can be changed by those that are alive. That's the meaning of that. Sometimes a man might decide without writing a legal will, you're a lawyer, that when I die, this child will take this child will take that. If it is not legally binding, those that are alive, we change that decision to suit them that are alive. That is the meaning of that culture. It is also said in my culture, onye choko je ozugbo, yasisu awe, man onye choko je with ndị ọzọ, onye choko je nwayọ, yasisu amawe. If you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk slowly, you have to walk with others. Sometimes when you walk with others, that's the time you have time to greet, you chat. But when you walk alone, is when you walk fast, you go fast, and that is the meaning of the word. You walk alone, you die alone. What it means that you must live in connection with others. You don't live in isolation. You have to relate well with others. You don't walk alone. When you walk alone, you die alone. People are important for us in our life. You need people to survive. You need people for certain decisions. There's some people like to live and walk alone. My culture does not encourage that. That's why in those days they have communion farming and all that. Toastmasters, I guess. Thank you. I stop here.
Thank you very much for that. That was very insightful. We learned a lot from that. Thank you very much. So we have our last, I think I have one more question. Who is going to get involved? Yes, Henry? Henry, yes. Did I just see your hand being up? Or was
Is that another Henry?
No, we have Ogo willing to participate. SAO is Ogo.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Ogo, please, what number would you write? Thank you for putting up your hand.
Okay.
What number?
What number is what numbers?
I think number 4 and number 2. Number 4 and number 2.
Let's try number 2.
Okay. Please mention 3 instructive values, because each culture there's some values which should be in every culture, like being a good neighbor, for instance. So please mention 3 values each Nigerian culture should have. And that can be our Nigerian culture. 3 values which each tribe in Nigeria must have. 3 universal values and why it's important to each culture. Even though we have different cultures, there are 3 values, yes, which each culture must have. Any 3, which you think are germane to every culture.
Okay. Let me understand that. That's particular to each culture I mentioned, or across board?
Across board, 3 values which each culture must have, which we would like every culture to have, whether you're Igbo, whether you're Hausa, whether you're Ijo, whether you're from Ijebu-Ode, there's some values which each culture must have. What do you think these values could be?
Okay. As a Nigerian, I would prefer, or I would want to see the day when the average Nigerian can be known for integrity. And generally, Nigerians have a way of being hardworking wherever they find themselves. They are usually hardworking and recognized. In certain parts of the world, they're even the most educated population of immigrants. So what I would prefer for Nigerians to be is to keep blazing the trail and keep soaring higher and making the country be recognized for good things, not the negative things that sometimes come up in. We know sometimes there are negative values associated with Nigerians. I would prefer for us to lean more towards being recognized for hard work, being recognized for integrity, and being recognized for generosity. Hello?
Hello, yes. Thank you very
Okay.
much for that. So on that note, I think I've ended my table topics. I just want to point out that although we're from Ijaw, we're from Ogbomoso, we're Yoruba, we're Igbo, it's important that we have universal values as Nigerians moving forward. So we can get from all this identity, I'm a Yoruba man, and think to our passport, what is best for Nigeria and not what is best for our group. Am I allowed to take any more table topics, or is that the end? General evaluator.
You can
Hello?
go ahead with one more.
Am I allowed to take any more
topic.
table topic?
Yes, you can go ahead with one more.
Okay. Yes, I saw somebody's hand up. I think it was Henry. Is it Henry's hand? I saw somebody's hand.
I see Ekuchi.
Yeah.
Ekuchi.
Yeah, Ekuchi. Okay. Ekuchi.
Yes, please, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Ekuchi,
Yes.
are you ready for the question?
Yes, please. Go ahead. What questions are available?
Yeah. Okay. I just have one last question. Give us a glimpse of your cultural engagement day and the essential things which makes it part of your own culture. What would you expect on an engagement day in your own culture? What's germane to an engagement in your culture?
All right, thank you so much, Madam Table Topics Master. At the beginning of the call, the president was asking where each of us came from, our tribe and our culture. And in the chat box, I put that I am from the great Okereka dynasty from Rivers State. And she laughed. I'm sure she knows that I am always super proud of my culture. Anyone that knows me knows that I do not fail to show that I'm an Okereka babe. Is it in the dancing? Is it in the attitude when Port Harcourt First Son comes up in any occasion? You hear me say, hey, I'm a Port Harcourt, that kind of thing. I never miss an opportunity to be proud or to boast about my culture. So on a cultural engagement day, what was the first thing that I would look out for or I would want to see? Some good old Okereka music that I can shake my waist to. I need to give them the Eriku. Eriku means the waist dance. That's a given. That has to happen. Also, come correct with the onono and pepper soup. The food, you need to give me some correct fish pepper soup with onono, which is pounded plantain and pounded yam together. It could come with the pepper soup or it could come with the stew. What else would I be looking forward to? The camaraderie, the love, the language speaking. In my culture, there's one thing that stands strong. We love each other. Once you hear someone say, make our way, just know that there's love around the area. The communication, showing some form of, unity. Those are the things that are germane to my culture as an Okereka young lady from the South. So yes, on a cultural engagement day, bring on the dancing, bring on the good food, and bring on the camaraderie. Thank you, and it's back to you, Table Topics Master. I hope I was being heard.
Yes, we could hear you, but I think she got thrown out of the meeting. I see her connecting back. TMGBK, are you back?
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think we lost you a bit.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
But I got the end of it, so we finished. So I think I finished my segment for now.
All right.
Thank you all of us.
Yeah. Great segment there. Thank you very much, TMGBK. And thanks to all those who contributed in this segment. So a round of applause for everyone on this meeting, a virtual round of applause, and those who can give, we can see the applause on the videos. So at this point, we're going to go into our breakout rooms, and we will be discussing a topic that is quite germane to our cultural heritage. Our table topic speakers have talked basically about what they enjoy in their cultural heritage. So in our breakout rooms, we will be looking at what is it in your culture that you think needs to be abolished. And after the discussions, we will come back and one person will just tell us briefly in 1 minute about that cultural heritage that needs to be abolished. So we'll give a few seconds and we will find ourselves in our breakout rooms. And there's a poll. We just want us to decide on who the better table topic speaker was. So go through the persons whose names are here, who gave their table topic speeches, and indicate who you think was the better table topic speaker. Zoom Master will be waiting for you to take us into our breakout rooms. Are we set for that?
Sorry, my laptop just shut down. Please give me a minute.
We seem to be having
Can you hear me, please?
Here and there. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, apologies. Let me try with my phone if that would go. My network just went off on my laptop. So
okay, I think that we will go over to the next segment. I think that after the manual speeches, we can take the breakout session if that's okay by you.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Zoom Master. So at this point, we're going to be going into the manual speeches, and we have 2 manual speeches for today. I would call on the evaluators for the manual speech for speaker 1 and the evaluator for the second speaker. So our evaluator for the first speaker is TM Grace, and our first speaker is Toastmaster Olem Oruene. Over to you, TM Grace, to introduce Toastmaster Olem Oruene and to tell us what exactly she's going to be talking about today.
Many thanks, Toastmaster of the Day, for that, for this opportunity. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests on this call. I have the opportunity of evaluating Toastmaster Olem, who is expected to deliver a 3 to 4 minutes speech, a social speech. So the purpose of this project is for Toastmaster Olem to practice delivering a social speech in front of the club members. That's here in Pecten Toastmaster Club. So amidst every other thing I will be looking out for in this particular speech, she requested I check out for her vocal variety and then her emotions, expressions of her emotions. She's speaking from the Visionary Communication Path Level 3, Projects 3. So all the best, Toastmaster Olem, as you break a leg. Over to you, the Toastmaster of the Day.
Okay. Next, I would call on Toastmaster Tosin Olorunleke to introduce our second speaker. Eseoghene Okereka is going to be our second speaker, and our evaluator is Toastmaster Tosin Olorunleke. Over to you, Tosin, as you introduce our second speaker.
Well done, Madam TMOD. But I think I am supposed to make the introduction after the speech. The first speech is completed.
Okay, thank you for that. So over to you, Toastmaster Olem. The stage is yours. The virtual lectern is yours. Please go on and give your speech.
She's amiable, or should I say was. Almost can't get it out of my head. I sometimes feel like she's still around. She's arduous. She's formidable, but she's beautiful and boisterous. And even though she was seen as tough, she was always very thoughtful and kind to those around her. She was a singer with one of the most sonorous voices I have ever heard. Her dance moves, her cultural dance moves, the waist shaking, is so germane to the Kalabari culture. They were exceptional. And she was like the belle at the time, the envy of people from my hometown. She was my strength. And my only gray-haired daughter. She is my maternal grandmother, Stella Elkina Okerewo. You see, my grandma and I promised to look after each other. And for the time that she was still alive, we did a really fantastic job at it. So when she died, I practically lost my mind. And sometimes I would think to myself, I know you're happy now. And I know that you are in a better place because I know that God is looking after you. But what about me? You promised to look after me. What about me now that you're gone? And so sometimes I can't help it. I feel jealous that she's happy without me. In those moments of deep reflection, I remember that even though she doesn't need me anymore, she left people behind who still do. She left behind my mother, my aunties and uncles, my nieces and nephews. And even though she can't be here to look after me anymore, she also left people behind. So somehow in all of this, I know I'll be all right. So Grandma, if you can hear me again, I miss you. I miss the long treks to your cassava farmlands. I miss the moments where we fight about how soft the fufu should be if we were pounding it. I miss hearing you call me Oni, which means mother, because you're the only one who did. And so once again, I just want to say to you, stay well, be well, and remain happy till we meet to part no more. Adieu. Over to you, Toastmaster Rudy.
A round of applause for our speaker. I love the germaneness in your speech today. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Olem Oruene, for that very captivating, heart-breaking or heartwarming, I don't know which of them to say, but your speech actually captured most of our hearts, I'm sure. So I'll be handing over to the evaluator for the second speech, Toastmaster Tosin. Please introduce the speaker for our second manual speech. Over to you, Toastmaster Tosin.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Kaine. This evening, Toastmaster Ese will be delivering her speech from the Innovative Planning Pathway, Level 2, Project 3, and it's titled Zinging All the Way. Anyone who's familiar with Toastmasters knows how big of a deal mentorship is to us. And today we could simply say Toastmaster Ese will be giving us a brief masterclass on mentorship. She's basically expected to give us an experience, or at least a part of an experience where she was a protege, and hopefully we're able to learn a thing or two from that speech. If you've listened to Toastmaster Ese before, you should be excited because, you know, we have a bomb coming our way, and I can't wait to hear what Toastmaster Ese has in store for us. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Tosin. I'll just welcome Toastmaster Eseoghene Okereka to give us that speech, Zinging All the Way. Over to you, Toastmaster Ese Okereka, for your manual speech. Thank you, everyone.
Toastmaster Kaine. I'm sure some of you might be familiar with this tune. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride. No one is swaying their head, but I'm assuming in your minds you're moving. Well, I have adapted that song. I have taken creative license to reframe it as zing, 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 zinging all the way. Oh, what fun it is to zing when you have the right support. Zing is a word I love because I have come to associate it with one of my mentors. But it's also an English word, don't worry. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, zing is a quality that makes something interesting, exciting, has enthusiasm, and zinging is the verbal form of zing. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am Toastmaster Ese, and I'm delighted to share with you how I keep zinging in Toastmasters. You know the secrets. I stay zinging with the help of coaches, mentors, and friends who inspire me to become the better version of myself every single day. Now in Toastmasters, we have coaches and we have mentors. Usually coaches are people who help you for a specific skill. Say, for example, I want to prepare serving as the role of grammarian. How do I do that? Is there a script I can follow? Can you guide me? That is a person coaching me on a specific skill, usually at a short-term period. But mentors provide guidance. They have a personal responsibility that they have to ensure you accomplish broad growth across a sustained period of time. And usually it is you, the protege, that determines how the relationship goes forward. And joining Toastmasters has given me diverse opportunities to not just receive mentorship, but now to even become a mentor. Now, my core reason for joining Toastmasters was to become a better listener. I have had innumerable times when many people would say, what did you say? Is that what I said? It always felt like I wasn't listening well. So a key skill I really wanted was to be a better listener. And the impact of having mentors in building my listening skills, immeasurable. Even better, in giving feedback, I can't count. Because Toastmasters provides a genuine environment for you to improve in your communication skills. Steve Bartlett, renowned life coach, says that the people you allow into your life are contagious, so you have to choose wisely. One mentor experience I'd like to share today, that I am happy to be his protege, is a man of many names. Some people know him as the Woke Wonke. Some people know him as Papa J Clan. Some know him as DJ Zing, and some know him as the Zing Detail. He's a man from the streets, although the streets are not in him. Distinguished Toastmaster Chuks Wambweze, a colleague, a friend, and a fellow Toastmasters. Across the last 3 years since I have joined Toastmasters, Chuks has served as an excellent mentor for me. In 2019, I remember the first time I had to play a role as accountant, and I was listening for everybody. I had my notes and biro. I must get all the filler words. Imagine my offense when Chuks did not even have one filler word. Does he have 2 heads? I wanted to be like that. I was already competitive that I must either get you or I should become like you. And that's one of the first things about mentors. They set examples for you that make you ambitious for your goals. Move on to 2020. And I remember the first time I had to contest in international speech contest. I failed woefully. I was disqualified because I was talking about food and I forgot myself. And I remember the first feedback Chuks had sent me a message. Wait, Ese, did you time yourself during your practice of the speech? That question actually made me ponder and said, oh, actually, I didn't. I just said, so long as I can tell a good story. But that was one tip Chuks had given me that forced me in how, going forward, I practice for my speeches. Chuks was actually the first person to send me a field evaluation form after giving a speech. In fact, I did not realize that was something you expected to do in Toastmasters. But by showing me that, he forced me to decide that anytime I evaluate a speech, I would try to fill the evaluation form or at least give structured feedback. In addition, he showed a beautiful skill of mentors in being always willing to serve or show up. And that is a skill I continue to emulate today. And then move on to 2021 when I struggled in the Toastmasters community. There was a time when I was, for lack of a better word, burnt out. All I had were complaints and, in local parlance, paraing. And I was very vulnerable in how I felt about Toastmasters. But I had a conversation with Chooks and expressed my vulnerability. Oh, I didn't want to be part of any club. I just wanted to attend meetings. And he was willing to listen. He allowed me share all my concerns and complaints in a vulnerable manner. And then he steered me in the right direction. He did not say, I was struggling with a decision to serve as an executive. And he didn't say serve or don't serve. He just asked, let us discuss what are the options available. What realistically for your long-term plans suits you. If you really think you can't do it, then don't. Having a mentor that gives you permission to be safe and vulnerable is something beautiful that Chooks has taught me in the Toastmasters community. And then there was last year, 2022. I had to debate in the International Women's Debate at work. And guess what? It was for a topic that I held an opposite ideology for. I struggled. I would not even lie, I struggled. But I remember that after debating, I still remember the message Chooks had sent me. Oh, excellent debate from a difficult position. Well done. I felt proud and affirmed. Of course, in less than 3 months later, when we had our National Toastmasters conference, and I was called again to do a debate, my normal mindset is always, will I die? I will not die. Meaning, would I be always afraid or nervous? Guess what? In even getting me to attend the conference, that was through the support of Chooks Wambwezi. And I not only attended, I got to contest and even win. It was and continues to remain one of my highlights in my Toastmasters year for 2022. One of the things I have learned about Chooks as a mentor and some traits he exhibits that I love is being committed and dependable. He gives constructive feedback. He's willing to show the work. He shows up and he gives you that unconditional space to rant, that support. There is a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher, that says that one repays a teacher badly if one only remains a pupil. I am proud that today I have now successfully transitioned from protege to mentor. I have successfully mentored 2 speech crafters, and I have identified multiple people that I am helping to coach in the Toastmasters community. With the help of my mentor, I am not worried about my future in Toastmasters, be it my ambitions to serve at the area or director level, or even to become a distinguished Toastmaster. I'm not worried because I know that with DJ Zing, the Zing, DTM, Toastmaster Chooks, and my Toastmasters community, it is going to be zing, 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 zinging all the way. Thank you. And back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, second speaker. I see someone saying, all hail the Zinging DTM. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Eseoghene Okereka, for that very enlightening speech about mentorship. Zoom Master, are we ready to go into our breakout rooms?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So in a few seconds, you will find yourselves in your breakout rooms. So please remember, we are talking about an aspect of our cultural heritage that we need to change, that it's not palatable to us and we need to change. So we'll have the discussions in our breakout rooms and we'll come back and we'll have 1 or 2 people who will be willing to share with the house. So welcome back. Welcome back. So I'm sure everyone is back to the room, and then we've shared some very important aspects of our culture that we think needs to be abolished. So I would like to call on 2 people to just tell us what you discussed in your breakout room. One is Tonfie, you are in our breakout room. I know you'll be ready to speak. And if we have another volunteer, please show by raise of hands or type in the chat box and you will be called. Okay, I see Olem Oruene. So The first person is Tonifie. You can unmute and tell us, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and tell us the aspect of your culture that you think needs to be abolished.
Hi everyone, my name is Toynfie Omene. I'm from Okoma, Bayelsa State in the south part of Nigeria. I was sharing with my group about how in my culture, they choose not to bury anyone who passes away and has an open wound or even a cut on their body. So basically, I found this tradition when I lost my dad last year, October. And my mom was telling me about how he passed away, and just to tell you the whole story, basically, she was sleeping and she woke up suddenly and realized that my dad wasn't next to her. So when she found him in the bathroom, and she was talking to him, but then when he got up after eating himself, he slumped and fell into her arms, and that was significant. What's the word for today? Germane. Okay. That was significant because she was there when he passed away, and he did not fall or hit his head when he fell. So the thing with my tradition is that if you die with an open wound or a cut, you wouldn't be buried the traditional way. And to me, I think that needs to be abolished. And Kaine was talking about the reason behind that is that not the reason, the significance or the repercussions is that they take you to a forest, like a deep wood somewhere, and bury the person. And that's sad thing that somebody died after living a long life, and then you don't get the respect or the honor that is deserved at burial. So I think that should be abolished.
Thank you so much, Tonifie. And I would like to say that we are all part of a culture. We possibly do not know the roots where this started, but I'm sure that we are all change makers, and we can put ourselves forward, make a change, positive change, to abolish these cultures that do not resonate with us. So I'll call on Olem in 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. Please tell us your own aspects, and yeah, over to you, Olem.
So I'm from Calabari, still the Jaw tribe. And one culture I think needs to be abolished is this full-scale area where you have to buy 3 big boxes and fill them up with a specific list of wrappers. Now, I get that the idea behind it is that you're buying these things for your wife, but the amount of money it will cost a young couple that's just starting out to get those 3 boxes ready is really ridiculous. And that's almost like putting people under pressure. So just to put it in perspective, when my sister got married in 2011 or 2012, there was a piece of wrapper that was costing like 10,000 naira a yard. And she needed to, like, each box had to have 5 yards of that kind of wrapper. And this was one wrapper out of a list of 20-something wrappers. So if you're already spending 150,000 naira on one wrapper, when you do the cumulative, you're somewhere between 500 to 1 million naira. This is not the wedding. This is not the bride price. In fact, this has nothing to do with food. It just has everything to do with what goes on in the box. And the box is for your wife. The only thing is that traditionally you're expected to show off what's in the box that you bought for your wife. So in my thinking, I mean, if we can bring it down to 1 box wrapper and still get your traditional marriage certificate, that would be fabulous. But leaving it where it is really changes. I mean, how many women even tie wrappers, except maybe when they do baby dedications or you go for funerals? How many people even do that these days? So putting that in perspective, I think it's too much pressure for young people who want to settle down. I think it has to go. Yeah, that's my take. Over to you.
All right, thank you very much. A round of applause to all of us. Just give a virtual round of applause. You can also just type in the chat box, send an emoji. And again, what I would like to tell us is we are all change makers in our environment. It shouldn't be a situation of, oh, this is what it has always been. We shouldn't also be proponents of negative culture. Let's decide to make a change, abolish the culture that is not appealing to us. And for those ones that are good, would continue to keep culture, because culture is actually what preserves us. So I would like to call on our general evaluator at this point, Toastmaster Tosin Olorunleke, to take us through the evaluation session. So we've heard the table topic speeches, we've had the manual speeches, we have the grammarian, the R counter, and the timer. Toastmaster Tosin Olorunleke would take us through the evaluation session to give us a feedback on our meeting today. Over to you, Toastmaster Tosin. I see you are ready.
Thank you very much, Madam TMOD. Yes, I am ready. I would like to start by saying thank you to everyone who has stuck around to this point, and we hope to deliver on our promise to deliver quality feedback. First, I would like to welcome to the podium our table topics evaluator for today, and that is none other than Toastmaster Josephine Agolo. Toastmaster Josephine. Please, can we confirm we heard me?
Yes,
we did.
All right.
Toastmaster Josephine is speaking, but we can't hear her.
All right. Toastmaster Josephine, maybe we'll just give you some time to sort out your audio. In the meantime, we'll lead with the evaluations for the manual speeches. So we'll move over to the evaluator for the first manual speech, and that will be Toastmaster Grace.
Very thank you, General Evaluator. Toastmaster Olem, please, are you on the call? Yes, I can spot you. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. Beautiful. Thank you for that response. So good afternoon once more, good evening once more, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I would like to say a big congratulations to Toastmaster Olem for successfully nailing the objective of her speech, which was to deliver a social speech. The speech, I must say, was quite reflective, it was heartwarming, and it was delivered impassionately. What were the things that stood out for me? I would like to say I'd made several things that stood out for me in that speech. The first thing that stood out for me was her voice. I want to say that your voice is good. Not only did you use the right tone to deliver this message, what this did was that it actually successfully transitioned us from where we are right now to where you wanted us to be. So even when you started, the toning you used was the right one for that particular speech. At that moment, we felt introduced to a character that we've never met before, your late maternal grandmother. And at that point, we just automatically switched, which was quite fascinating for me. So thank you for doing that. I would also like to say that your choice of words was also spot on. You're such a beautiful storyteller. So instances where you said she is amiable, she is beautiful, how can I forget that you're no longer here? What did that do for you? That actually painted words with you painted pictures with your words. And at that moment, we were already in our minds, we were already in some set of place trying to picture, oh, how is this woman? So that was quite spot on, well done at that. So thank you also for wearing your emotions on your sleeve, because the speech was quite a vulnerable one. We could literally touch your emotions in that speech. What are those areas I would like to have, seen improvement, or what are the areas I would recommend improvements? When you said, I missed you calling me Oni, I felt at that point you should have varied your vocals a bit. So probably the way she usually would call you. So that would have made that line hit more. We could have related better if you had varied your vocals, pronouncing your name only. And even when you said there was a part where you said, I missed you calling me. At that point, you just said it blunt and you just said it on a flat pace. So I would like you to, when you're saying certain lines, vary your vocals. And even when I would have appreciated if you had used more of your hand gestures, you rubbed us off that privilege. When you said, I practically lost my mind, and you were just staring at us and saying you practically lost your mind. But I felt that if you had used your hands and probably your body as well, that too, you would have communicated that message more. On the whole, other recommendations would be your video quality. I felt your video quality could have been improved on, but that's notwithstanding, it was a beautiful eulogy. I felt great meeting your late maternal mom, Stella. I also loved how you ended your message where you left it with stay well, be well. If you could hear me, I still miss you. So that was quite profound for me. So very well done, Toastmaster Olem. I'll definitely would want to listen to you speak yet again. Over to you, the general evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Grace. You have done justice to the evaluation of Toastmaster Olem's speech. So thank you very much to you and also to Toastmaster Olem as well for delivering that beautiful speech. Next, we will be moving on to the evaluation for Toastmaster Ese's speech, which will be done by me. And I'd like to start by saying thank you to Toastmaster Ese for delivering yet another wonderful speech. The expectations were high and you did not buckle under pressure. Thank you very much. I wish Toastmaster Chooks or distinguished Toastmaster Chooks was here to receive his flowers. And I'm wondering if Toastmaster Ese tried to convince him to get into this meeting or not, but he was not here. Regardless, I'm sure you do communicate your appreciation for him in one way or the other. So thank you very much, Toastmaster Ese. I like the fact that you gave us a brief summary of what mentorship is all about. That way, people who are not familiar with mentorship at all, at least have an idea what it is. You did not just assume that it's not mentorship. Everyone who is at least at a Toastmasters meeting should understand what Toastmasters mentorship is. We do not assume as Toastmasters. I also loved the style of your content, especially given the kind of speech that this was today. It's easy for you to have come out and just tell us, oh, this and this and this is what you expect of a mentor. A good mentor should be this, a good mentor should be that. I have had a mentor that was this and I've had a mentor that was that. And it will just feel like a lecture and it will be bordering on being boring. But in your typical style, you came out, you gave us your personal experiences through stories, numerous stories, and you used those stories to actually just mark the qualities you wanted to point out to us. I thought that was beautifully executed. Well done. As a way of improvement, I thought we could have heard some things about maybe some challenges or struggles you faced when it came to mentorship. Yes, you've had a beautiful journey as a protege under the Zing DTM, but I don't imagine it's been all smooth sailing. So for the sake of learning, bringing it full circle, it would have been nice for us to learn from some of your challenges so that we do not have to go through them ourselves. I also thought that at the end of your speech, you could have summarized the main points which you highlighted as some of distinguished Toastmaster Chooks' strong qualities. You had a beautiful conclusion because I loved the way you went about the zingy thing, but I thought it would also have been beautiful if we had had a summary of the qualities you mentioned, like I said earlier. It was a beautiful speech. I do look forward to hearing you speak more often, and thank you for delivering that speech today. Now, we will be moving on to the table topics evaluator, our red leader. I can see her looking ready to wow us with her evaluation. Toastmaster Josephine. Okay, we still can't hear Toastmaster Josephine. Toastmaster Josephine, you cannot allow your village people win today. So please do whatever you need to do so that we can get that evaluation eventually. But while we give you some time to still try and figure it out so that you come out on top, we will move on to the other reports, and we will be starting with the grammarians report. That will be delivered by distinguished Toastmaster Rashidat Saliu Bello.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Oluwatosin Olorunleke. Ladies and gentlemen, well, I should say that you made me happy, and you probably will be seeing me smiling because you have used the word of the day as many times as I would have loved to. Perhaps you could have done better though, but It's okay. But before we move to that, I quickly want to point out some things that I had that I really, really loved. I was quite fascinated when Toastmaster Tosin used respect, which is embedded in my culture. I felt that was a good expression. And then he talked about value attributed to his culture. Well, that was also a follow-up to that. I was happy to hear when SAO, well, I didn't quite get the name, except that I saw SAO, and she said, Nigerians keep blazing the trail and soaring higher. And what really attracted me was the correct pronunciation of the word so. Toastmaster Equity James also stole my heart with the good pronunciation of the word camaraderie, as well as Toastmaster Tosin's pronunciation of the word protege, because the G sound is like a D and Z, and then the AA, which is not so English. Toastmaster Eseoghene also talked about a question making her ponder, and I thought that was a good expression of English. And lastly, this expression, you did not buckle under pressure, meaning you were not allowed to be defeated by a circumstance, also given by Toastmaster Tosin Alaruneke. There is this word, or this phrase, sorry, so very much, grammatically good, but then you think it is quite superfluous. There's some redundancy in using so very at the same time. It is grammatically not incorrect, but then it is more informal than formal. Integrating us into, well, you could integrate things into something, but integrating us, I think a better expression would have been uniting us, maybe a flatter, a lowlier word. Then the pronunciation of would, I'd like us to note that L is not pronounced when you are pronouncing would, could, should, then you omit the L. And the pronunciation of amiable as well is one that we also get entangled in the web of mispronouncing, as well as realize and vulnerable. And gesture. Gesture is a common word that I see that we mispronounce in a lot of Toastmasters circles. Please note that it is gesture and not gesture. Eulogy. Well, that is the way the British pronounce it. I loved also pronunciation of, or the expression, quite fascinating, used by Toastmaster Grace Peter. I love most adjectives that was used by Toastmaster Olem. Of course, I don't have the time, so I can't go to that. But sorry, did I murder your name? Pardon me, please. Okay. The word of the day, GERMANE, was used and very copiously and beautifully by Toastmaster Eseoghene, Toastmaster GBK, Toastmaster Equity, Toastmaster Kaine, Toastmaster Olem, and guess who used the word of the day the most? Guess who used the word of the day the most? And the word of the day was used the most.
GBK Oshodi.
Ooh, you are a genius. It was used the most by Toastmaster GBK Oshodi. She stole my heart. Back to you, the general evaluator.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster RSV. I'm sure we can all see some of the reasons we consider her to be famous, or some of the reasons she has achieved the fame she has achieved. And while you said Toastmaster GBK won the contest for most used word of the day, I was just thinking, Toastmaster Josephine has not spoken yet, so it's too early to call the shots. Let's wait and see how that goes. The next role player, Toastmaster Josephine, could you just try out your microphone now to see if it's working?
My village people, please, in a German way, leave me alone.
The virtual podium is yours, please. Table topics
Thank
evaluation.
you so much, Toastmaster Tosi. I am so sorry, everyone. Apologies. These village people, they just come in an inappropriate manner sometimes. Jolly good evening, everyone, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Yes, it's a delight for me to be providing a germane evaluation to each of the impromptu speeches given by the participants of the table topic session. And I must say that all of our speakers gave very magnificent responses to all of the questions. Our first speaker for today was Toastmaster Tari. And our question was, what cultural values do you think it's ideal for Nigeria? And she actually went in to tell us the ideal values that should be inculcated in Nigeria. I love the way she spoke, very confident. What will you expect from a seasoned speaker? She was very confident while she was speaking. Her smiles were, no, she didn't smile. Hold on. I love the confidence. I love the fact that our speech had, like, it was like a mini speech. I felt like she was going to give us a manual speech, because the speech was well structured. It had the opening, it had the body, and it also had the conclusion. What would I have loved to incorporate when she's speaking? I would have loved to see smiles and also incorporate the word of the day just to show mind presence. But in all, I love the confidence you exuded while you speak. It is thoroughly germane with Toastmaster Tari as a seasoned speaker. Our next speaker was Toastmaster Tosi, and his question was, describe how germane your culture is for you. It seemed as though Toastmaster Tosi was well prepared for this question. He actually gave an appropriate answer to the question. I think his own was also germane. His speech was also germane in the sense that he had an opening, he had a body, and he also had a conclusion. He went to tell us that his own was respect, the way Ogbomoso people respect people. And I love his contagious smile. Whenever he's talking, you could see the 32 teeth. I'm expecting that one day, Close Up will be amongst us and just give Toastmaster Tosi the ability to do this advert, and I think he will do it better. Well done, Toastmaster Tosi. He also incorporated the word of the day, which actually shows mind presence. What would I have loved you to also do when you were speaking? Your pacing. When you are speaking, it seems as though that you are rushing. I would love you to pace, incorporate some good pauses so that what you are saying will synchronize with us. We will follow you along. I'm seeing the green card already. Our next speaker for today was Toastmaster Harry. Toastmaster Harry, your question was, explain 2 native proverbs. Man, I needed to write one of the proverbs because I love it. I hope that's right. Oyi big do, but I did not finish it. I love the way you were just speaking the Igbo language. I love languages. Whenever I hear somebody speaking language, I just like, if I can speak the way this person is speaking, because personally, I am not fluent in my own local language. So when I see somebody that is in depth with the way they adapt with their local language, it just blew me away. Well done, Toastmaster Harry. It seemed as though when you were speaking, you were not having that eye contact with us. Because if your camera was sideways, we couldn't have that eye contact with you. I would have loved you to face your camera squarely so that we could see facial expression while you were speaking. Well, our next speaker, Toastmaster guest Ogo. Guest Ogo, you volunteered to speak. I totally love that. This is actually germane with Toastmasters. We like to volunteer to serve in Toastmasters. I loved your voice clarity. You spoke, I could hear everything you were saying. But I would have also loved you to face us while you were speaking, because at some point you were looking up. It seemed as though that some of the things that you wanted to say were up there. But I love your voice clarity. Keep speaking and you see yourself improving. Our next speaker was Toastmaster Ekuchi. Toastmaster Ekuchi, what do you expect from somebody that keeps winning table topics? I would have loved to see your face when you were speaking. In fact, you got me salivating when you were talking about your food. I felt like I needed to eat right away. This was Ekuchi, you are a great speaker. I could feel your emotions of the excitement of your culture, which is something that we want to do when we are speaking at Toastmasters. We want to bring emotions into our speeches so that our audience members are able to connect with us. It is a genuine thing to do. Kudos to all of our speakers. Being afraid in taking table topics is germane to impromptu speaking. But I must say that each and every one of you, you have exuded bravery. And like it is often said, fortune favors the brave. And it's back to you, our GE for today, my friend, Toastmaster Thompson.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Josephine. That was a very detailed feedback, as well as a good run-in for runner-up, or I don't even know if it's winner at this point, but who used the word of the day the most. Well, in addition to your feedback, I would also like to give some feedback to the table topics master for today. I'd like to start by saying thank you for topics that were tailored to the theme for today's meeting. It always ensures that our meetings are not far off from the theme as regards content. Also, I would like to recommend that going forward, when you want to start the table topic segment, you give a brief introduction of the segment. For the sake of those who might be guests amongst us, they should understand what is going on and why it is that we partake in the table topic segment. Also, I would like to advise that as much as possible, our questions should be rid of ambiguity. So if you frame your questions in such a way that you still feel the need to repeat the question the same way or in different ways, just to make sure that the participants understand it, then you might want to revise how that question is framed. Thank you very much. And now we will be taking the next report, which will be the Accounters report. Toastmaster Eseoghene.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. General Evaluator. Good evening once again, Toastmasters and guests. I'm back to present my Accounters report. Today, we had a total of 55 filler words and repetitive words. Toastmaster of the day, TM
Kaine.
Kaine, thank you. TM Kaine had a total of 12 filler words. So the general evaluator, Toastmaster Tosin Olorunleke, had a total of 7 filler words. He also doubled as the second speech evaluator and the second Toastmaster respondent. So in all, he had a total of 7 filler words. So the next is the speaker, the first speaker had 1. She also doubled as the table topics respondent 1. That's the TM Tari Adebisi had 1 filler word. The next is the timer, who also doubled as the table topics respondent 5. That's Toastmaster Ekuchi, had 4 filler words. Then during the breakout room response, we had a total of 5 from Toastmaster Tonife, if I'm correct with the pronunciation, and then 4 from TM Olem. And then during the table topics evaluation, we had a total of 6 repetitive words from the table topics evaluator. And then from the speech evaluation number 1, we had a total of 6 filler words and 4 repetitive words. So in all, that was 55 filler words in all. That's my Accounting report for today. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Wow, that was extremely thorough. I had 55 pause fillers used, and I was thinking, how on earth did she even catch that? Well, thank you very much, Toastmaster Ekene. Thank you for showing us an example on how to listen. Next, I would like to welcome our timer for today, Toastmaster Ekuchi. Toastmaster Ekuchi.
Thank you so much, the General Evaluator. Good evening, everyone. Please confirm that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
All right, today I played the role of the timer, and I must say that we have done really well as regards the timing, although we had some lapses here and there, which is normal, but all in all, we did great. I'll start with the table topic segment. The table topic segment was supposed to be for 1 to 2 minutes. Toastmaster Tari used 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Toastmaster Tosin used 1 minute, 47 seconds. Toastmaster Henry used 2 minutes, 12 seconds. Toastmaster Ogo used 1 minute, 15 seconds. And Toastmaster Joy used 2 minutes, 2 seconds, all within the time range. For the manual speeches, Toastmaster Olem's speech was to run for 3 to 4 minutes, and she used 3 minutes, 23 seconds, which was great. Toastmaster Esse's speech was to run for 5 to 7 minutes. Unfortunately, Toastmaster Esse exceeded the time by using 8 minutes, 18 seconds. It lies on her evaluator or whoever it is to decide if the speech would qualify or she would have to redo it. For the evaluations, Toastmaster Grace evaluated Toastmaster Olem's speech. It was supposed to run for 2 to 3 minutes. She used 3 minutes, 52 seconds, which exceeded the time. Toastmaster Tosin used 2 minutes, 20 seconds, which was within time. Toastmaster Josephine was supposed to evaluate for 3 to 5 minutes. She used 5 minutes, 55 seconds, which exceeded. For the tag team, DTM RSB, who was the grammarian, used 2 minutes, 40 seconds, which exceeded the 1 to 2 minutes time slot. The accounter used 2 minutes, 5 seconds, which is within time. And the timer, who is Toastmaster Ekuchi, has just used 1 minute, 42 seconds. All in all, we've done great today and looking forward to us improving on our timing going forward. Thank you, and it's back to you, GE.
Thank you very much for that concise report, Madam Timer. Indeed, we will do our best to be more efficient and effective with time usage going forward. Now, on to my general evaluations report. I'd like to start by saying thank you to Pecten for giving me the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to be here in your midst. Your meetings are always full of life. They are always interesting. So I do enjoy coming. It's not a matter of just coming to play roles. It's a matter of looking forward to learning and having a good time as well. So thank you very much. I'd like to start by commending the good communication which was practiced even before the meeting started. We had a good number of people on the call, which was also impressive in its own way. And we had the Vice President's Education actually communicate to us when the meeting would start. And that was a good way of managing people's expectations. I also like the diversity of the themes which come out of Pecten Toastmasters Club. I know Toastmasters is about leadership and communication. I feel as though sometimes we get carried away with that, and then themes always sound as though, you know, we are always we're just uppity and whatnot. But with the themes I get from Pecten Toastmasters Club, you can be sure that you would have a good time. It doesn't always sound too formal, so it sounds like something that could be welcoming to people from wherever they might be coming from, people looking from the outside in. And even if you feel as though you're not a brilliant communicator or a brilliant leader, you would feel as though you could still be a part of this meeting. So thank you very much, and well done to the Vice President's Education. I would also like to commend the fact that there was some audience interaction by the president during the president's remarks. It's not conventional. I mean, no one really teaches you how to go about this thing. So I think it's brilliant to see excellent president's remarks being given. I love the fact that you actually asked the audience to type in the chat box where they were from, which was in line with the theme for today's meeting, as well as setting the tone for the meeting. What that did was it got us involved early on, and I think it was a great way to reel people into the meeting. Thank you very much. I think the use of slides is also commendable when it comes to flashing things like the word of the day, things like the bios and all of that. And it's beautiful because visual aids, you can't go wrong with visual aids. They actually stick better for some people. I think the commendation alongside that, the fact that it's beautiful to use slides, is that we don't want the slides to linger on the screen too long. We don't want them to overstay their welcome. So we should not forget that we are here to watch speakers. And so speakers should have more time on the screen than the slides, actually. So I feel like there were instances where the slides stayed longer than they should have, or maybe they weren't even necessary at all. So instances like when we had the opening remarks, we had the slide reading opening remarks. I mean, the Toastmaster of the day or the VP had already announced that, so we didn't necessarily need to have that slide on. I think that's something that could be worked upon. I also think since we have the bios of the individuals on the slides, maybe we don't have to read everything in its entirety, as that just consumes time and then it just seems like we're doing the same thing over. So we could choose to stick with one, either have the Toastmaster of the day read it or have it on the slide, whichever one. But I think the combination of the two is somewhat of an overkill. I know it's a virtual meeting, and with virtual meetings, there's a tendency to think, oh, my devices can't really distract me. Well, just pray your village people aren't out for you. I'm sure one of us saw today that indeed your devices can be a distraction. So the advice would be, let's still maintain the same etiquettes we have, even when it's a physical or an on-site meeting, just to make sure that we are not caught unawares. I liked the crisis management that happened when the Zoom master was struggling to create the breakout rooms. As leaders, as speakers, we need to be able to think on our feet. And I thought our Toastmaster of the day showed that today, because we did not have to wait till that was sorted out. That would simply have wasted our time. Instead, she provided another solution, which was to commence with the meeting and have the breakout session at a later time. I do feel more cameras could be turned on, because I did see a couple of people turn on their cameras at different points in time. So it means the cameras could have been turned on, but for some reason, we did not have them on throughout the meeting. So it's easier for you not to get distracted if your video is on. You're going to pay attention because you don't want people watching you do silly things. And also, like I always say, it creates for a warmer room. It creates for a warmer meeting. It feels like we're next to each other, despite the distance that exists. But ultimately, I think the biggest thing I saw today I was happy about was not too many people double-hatted today. In fact, I think the only person that double-hatted was the Vice President Education. And I think that's some progress. It shows that we are not just getting feedback, but we're actually implementing the feedback. I know that several times we've had the feedback of having more people step up to actually play roles. And I think we did see that today. And it's resulted in a beautiful meeting. So I would just like to urge us to keep doing this, keep doing what we are doing, and we will keep delivering beautiful meetings. Thank you for letting me be a part of your meeting today. And back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you again, Toastmaster Tosi, for that wonderful evaluation. And thanks to all the evaluators for the different segments. Thank you all for attending our meeting today. I'm sure you're all convinced that there was indeed a germaneness to our meeting. I'll hand over to Toastmaster Tari Adebisi, our president, to give us the closing remarks, give any announcements, our closing remarks, and the networking will go on. Over to you, President.
Beautiful work you have done, Madam Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Kaine. Can we please all unmute? We need to really appreciate our role players for today. Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Kaine, General Evaluator, Toastmaster Totin, Grammarian, ETM, RSB, Zoom Master, Toastmaster Essay, Timer, Toastmaster Ikuchi, and our counter, Toastmaster Ekene. Table Topics Evaluator, Toastmaster Josephine. Am I the only person clapping? Well done, well done, well done, well done. Everything was just on point. It was an absolutely amazing meeting. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, every minute of it. There was no boring moment. The Zoom room was excellent. Everything went well, and I'm really grateful. Thank you all for coming for today's meeting. If you're attending for the first time, I doubt we have any guests here. I don't see any name that I don't know. Okay, there's a Victory on Yenwosa. I don't know if you're a guest or a Toastmaster. Can you just tell us in like 30 seconds? Victory on Yenwosa. If you could unmute,
hello, everyone.
Please. Hi. Hi, Victory. Are you a Toastmaster?
Hello,
or are you visiting?
Yeah.
Yes,
no,
I'm
a guest. I'm a guest.
You're a guest. Welcome,
I was invited.
welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Who invited you? Nah, she's gone off again. Okay, welcome anyway, Victory. I hope we'll see you again next time. And there's also, okay, I think that's the only name I said I don't know. I think that's the only name. So well done, everyone. Please let's invite people for our meetings. I mean, it does. I'm sure if you ask Victory, she'll say she has gained something here today. So just a couple of announcements before we go. Off. The division contest for the international speech and table topics is coming up on Sunday, April 23rd. I'm not sure the flyer is out yet. We'll look out for that, and when it's out, we'll post it on the group. So let's bear that in mind. Our very own Vice President Education, Toastmaster Essay, is a contestant in that contest. So let us show up to support her. This is the division contest now. She's Area 23 champion. Let us show up to support her during the division contest. That's one. Another announcement, the winner of table topics today, before we forget, the table topic session was great. Well done, Toastmaster GBK, for doing a great job. And the winner of today's table topics was Toastmaster Ekuchi James. Well done, Toastmaster Ekuchi. I think you painted pictures that stuck in our minds.
Thank you.
So it was a great table topics. Well done, well done, well done. Another announcement would be, we've been talking about the Toastmaster conference, Toastmaster Nigeria conference for some time now. And that conference is going to take place on the 8th and 9th of June, 2023, and registration is ongoing. If we haven't put it up on the group yet, I think we have, but we'll keep putting it up on the group for people to register. And to that effect, there is an Instagram live going to happen tonight for some presidents from our area to talk about, from our division rather, to talk about the conference. So please join us on Instagram live. When more details are out, we will post on the group. It's at 8 p.m. today. I will be there as president of Pecten, and the other people, Toastmaster Craig as president. I can't see very well. Toastmaster Craig as president of Merit, Toastmaster Joy as president of Unity, and then the host is Toastmaster Mercy George Buffett, president of Lentor Toastmasters Club. The flyer is on the screen, so please make it a date with us at 8 p.m. to be great to see some of us come out to support me as we speak about Toastmasters in general. Finally, last but not the least, our next meeting will be on the 2nd of May, 2023. That's 2 weeks from now. Join us again as we do that. Sorry for the background noise. I can't mute, unfortunately. So that's the end of the meeting today. We have a tongue twister on the screen, a proper copper coffee pot. Who is volunteering to do this for us? Fast, 5 times. Who volunteers? Any bold person in our mix? Nobody? Somebody should volunteer. Olem, can you do this for us?
Okay.
Okay. Is Olem here? Toastmaster Ekuchi's hand is up. Ekuchi,
A proper copper coffee pot, 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 a proper copper coffee pot.
A proper copper and a copper proper. Well done, Toastmaster Ekuchi. That was great. So enjoy your evening, everyone. See you during the next meeting in 2 weeks' time. Bye and take care of yourselves.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Madam President, and bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone. So in the chat box, I had said that anyone that can find me this week is eligible for Onunu and fish pepper soup. So yes.
Anyone that can
This is on.